Yo, welcome back to another exciting episode of PD Stories. First off, before we even start this, let me go ahead and advise you, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you ain't already subscribed, and if you are subscribed, go ahead and send this and share it with your friends and loved ones. They want to hear these stories too. If you like it, maybe they will too. Alright, here we go. Alright, today I want to talk to y'all about we're going to skip past what happened when I was in Rikers Island. We're going to go straight to we'll go back to that in later episodes. But for now, we're going to go ahead to, I'm at Rikers Island. At this point, I've been held in a cage for over close to 24 hours. My fingers pressed down on the machine that takes my fingers print. It's an electronic machine. It's not like the old school days where they put ink and paper. The detective was so mad because he pulled me out when I was in Manhattan in the dungeons, the tombs. He pulls me out, takes me, throws me in his cell, tells me he wants to talk to me. He wants me to tell him what I know or whatever it is that I need to say to him to help my situation. Basically, snitch. I don't snitch, and I wasn't in the mood to be snitching that day. So no snitching. So that's how I wound up being in that cage for over 24, I ain't gonna say over 24, around 24 hours. It was a day. Yeah. So finally, they pressed some fingers on the machine. Fingers were hurting for a day or two after that. They were being really rough because I wouldn't tell. What they need me for? They already had a snitch. One of my co-defendants' son was snitched. Told on everybody. And my thing was, how can you tell on everybody and used you during the grand jury when clearly in trial you said I was unaware, I didn't know about it. Had I known about it, I'd have freaked out because I didn't do that sort of stuff. But yet, I'm still indicted. And the crazy part about it, during even before the trial, we tried to get copies of the indictment. No, you cannot see your indictment. Whatever transpired, it's a secret. Because it was a secret jury indictment. You're not allowed to know who told on you, what they said about you, or anything. Basically, you're just supposed to trust the DA that's railroading you at the time. You're supposed to believe he did due diligence and was honest in obtaining this warrant. Now, if you prove to a grand jury that someone has 12 counts of conspiracy, you would think that one count at least would stick during trial, right? Right? Because it's hard to beat a conspiracy charge, let alone 12 different separate incidents. Yeah. Corrupt legal system in New York. You can't deny it. And then when there's, like I told you in the previous video, the DA proved my innocence with his star witness at the end, asking him, did I know about it? He said no. Well, how the heck did you ever get an indictment on me? You refused to allow me to see the indictment or my attorney because you knew there was nothing in the indictment for me. That's how corrupt this legal system is. They can put you in an indictment, not tell you how they got you involved in the indictment, let you figure it out in trial. I don't see how that's fair, especially in trial when your star witness, the only person that knew me or even mentioned my name or said anything about me, said I didn't know anything about it. Well, how the hell did I get indicted? Who said I knew something about it? We don't know because no one was presented in trial because it was corruption from the beginning to the end. You were talking about a case that was, I believe it was 5 years old, cold case filed before they did these indictments. And then we come to find out they tried to indict me a previous time. They indicted all my co-defendants except me. This is how I find out. When we were allowed a limited amount of our indictment, the page numbers and dates were off. So we did a little bit more digging. Come to find out the first time they tried to indict everyone, they couldn't get me indicted. So they figured out what they did wrong the first time. Because the first time the grand jury was like, well, he didn't do anything. Why would we indict him? Second time, well, they got a bunch of guys that do whatever the DA wants, believe everything he says, and believe it. And it's a cold part. Just so you know, during an indictment, a secret indictment, you have no right to a defense. It's just a prosecutor telling a group of people, the jurors, his story. No one there to refute it, no evidence, nothing needs to be presented. He says, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. They believe him, Then they'll go ahead and issue your arrest warrant, and you're going to be picked up by the U.S. Marshals no matter where you are. That's what happened to me. So I'm going to go ahead into the next part about how we're all locked up in New York City, Rikers Island. We're all in different buildings because Rikers Island is a massive complex. So yeah, I'm talking to my co-defendant Latour Irving, if you want to Google that name, senior. And, oh, he knew I had nothing to do with this. So he was the one who got me caught up in this. I'm asking, why don't you tell him? And I know that I had nothing to do with it. He said, yeah. I tell my attorney, my attorney tell me he ain't going to do that. He can't do that. If he does that, he's telling on himself. So I tell Latour this. He's like, no, man, I'm going to tell him. My attorney was right. That man never tried to straighten this out for me. His whole concern was him getting off. When it was him who got me involved in this, knowing darn well I did not mess with that coke, that white stuff, that girl. No, not an honorable man. And to this day, he's still doing life in Texas for some other crimes, waiting to go to New York when he's done with that life. If he makes it, then he'll be in New York doing, I think he got 30, 40, 50 years, basically another life sentence. So, I'm home. I'm free. I have a successful business now. I had to start my life over. So I'm 5 years into it. By the grace of God, I was able to reestablish myself. And actually, I'm doing better now than I was before. I can't say thank you because it was a year and a half of hell in Rikers Island. Imagine being locked up for something you didn't do and you know you didn't do it. And you were doing good in life at this point, and it was snatched from you over lies. Not, I can't even say lies. It was snatched from me for there was no evidence. No one even lied on me. But that's the corruptness in Manhattan, New York. It's ridiculous. So back to this guy Latour. He wouldn't say anything. Let me go through trial. I beat it. I can't at this point. I can't even look out for the man, help him out because I just spent a year and a half of my life in jail. While you were already doing life, you could easily step in, hey, he had nothing to do with it, but you refused to because you were under some grand illusion you were going to get off from what your life sentence, and then you were going to beat this one. Really? Leprechauns don't have that much luck. You were no leprechaun. So that's my story on him. The other co-defendants, you got one guy, Daryl Mason, doing life. Well, he was getting out of California jail for drug charges. This cold part about it, during the trial, they bring the kilos of cocaine from his California trial, which had nothing to do with this New York case, and presented the cocaine as if it was part of the case. How can you present evidence from another trial and this trial and they have nothing to do with each other? This is what I mean about the corruption. All right. Then they played phone calls that some of my co-defendants made while they were locked up, trying to get one of the co-defendants handled, touched, beat, whatever you want to call it. They were trying to get him because he was snitching. And this is the cool part about it. If that boy Latour Irving Jr., remember there's a junior and a senior. Junior's a snitch. If he would have just kept his mouth closed, he would have went home. He wouldn't have did the 5 years or I guess 3 years he did or whatever he did on that. He wouldn't have never got time. He did a year and a half like everybody else, or even we wouldn't even been there. But let's just say we were there anyways. If he would have not snitched and been stood up like a real man, he did his crime. He should have stood on it, but soft as jello. Anyway, so if he would have not said anything, he wouldn't have been in jail. Everyone else would have, not been in jail or at least not convicted. He was the linchpin of it all. Jello. He's out here somewhere floating around. And I mean, he exonerated me, but then tried to not exonerate me, understand? He told him I didn't know. Never discussed it with me. Asked him how, what would happen if I found out? He said I would have flipped. But then he turns around and tries to get me convicted. Oh, he knew. How could he not know? Motherfucker, if you didn't tell me, how am I supposed to know? Here you are, you understand? You could, you knew you were lying and you just sit there and you tell these people on the jury, the judge, and all of us, I didn't know about it, and then all of a sudden your last words are, oh, I mean, he probably knew about it. And they ask you, did you tell me about it? Your answer is no. But yet you still want to try to get me wrapped up in that stuff. You are shit. You're going to get what you deserve. You're not an honorable person. Yeah, no, that's just the way I feel about you. Learn to keep your mouth shut whenever you get in trouble. The police are not your friend. The DA is not your friend. He only wants you to talk to him because he has nothing. Do not talk to the DA. You're going to get yourself into more and more and more trouble. You cannot talk your way out of it. If you're not innocent, and even if you're innocent, don't talk to him. That's all I got to say about that. Don't trust the DA. Don't trust snitches. Latour, Irving Jr., snitch. Don't trust them. Don't trust them.